Welcome back, friends, in the new course in Threat Report Attack Mapper, also referred to as TRAM. It's a tool associated with MITRE attack, which stands for Adversarial Tactics, Techniques, and Common Knowledge. And in this tool is an enabler in our attack journey, right? So we understand like what is attack, right? If not, just refer to my course on attack, which covers the details in and around MITRE attack, right? It discusses about adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. And adversary, we know these are the attackers who are trying tends to attack our system, correct? So from this is a tool. So TRAM is nothing but it's a tool that helps us to map the reports which we generate. Say these reports are nothing but these are cyber threat intelligence report which we create, correct? So these are basically the reports which we feed as an input to our, our this tool tram tool, and then it tries to categorize it categorize to our tactics which are there in our uh, attack framework, correct? So for with this course I would be, let me emphasize what we are going to cover. So this is MITRE TRAM, which is nothing but like we want to map threat reports to attack. So basically the cyber threat reports which gets generated, uh, are we require them to map to attack. So why we need to map it to attack framework? That is the first question. Reason being, we need to categorize it based on the metrics of based on this metric, correct? So MITRE attack framework, let me take you to the framework. So for instance, let's take out this enterprise matrix. See, so these are all the tactics as we know, and these are all the techniques. So the report which is generated in our environment, our infrastructure, we need to map it to this framework. So why we need to map it to this framework is the thing, like we need to know what are the prevalence, what are the techniques which are prevalent, what are the tactics which are prevalent in our infrastructure. Once we map to this architecture or this framework, which is a live framework which keeps on updating, it helps us to first mitigate, then defend, and third to check what will be the next action step which a adversary can take. So these are the three things we need this mapping to be done, correct? So first we need to understand why we need tram, which I will be covering in this session only, and I gave 0 as an index to it, that's the reason. Then we understand what is threat report attack mapper, which is the abbreviation of tram tool. Tram is basically a tool, okay? Then how to set up tram locally in a Ubuntu machine, accessing tram UI on a Ubuntu GUI. Then what is cyber threat intel report, we'll understand because that's an important feed for our tram tool, correct? And then we'll try to understand tram functionality, how we upload the report, whether to accept or review a technique, what is the criteria for that. And then we'll understand how to map technique, group, or source while reviewing a report. And there would be some other sections too which I'm planning eventually, in which I may consider mapping a tram output to a attack navigator, okay? So that's how it will work out. So to start with, let's try to understand why we need tram, okay? I already documented it here. So understanding why we need tram. So mostly how it goes is like we find open source reporting tool, correct? So why we need an open source reporting tool? So that we create a cyber threat intelligence report. So output of this is, or the motive behind output or motive behind finding a open source reporting tool is to create a cyber threat intel report, correct? We need to create a cyber threat intel report. Once we do it, we get the report, we have the report in our hand, and then we try to analyze it. Okay, if the analysis, we do analysis. So why we do analysis? We do analysis to find out the techniques, tactics, and procedures available in our report, okay? We go through each and every line of the report, and based on our knowledge and based on the knowledge of attack framework, we try to map the tactics. So first we try to identify the tactic. For instance, by just going through a line, I got to know, yeah, it's a recon technique, correct? So I will try to find the technique in the next step would be finding the technique. So like that. So that is one of the scenario. And so we look for tactics and report and ways like this, like obfuscate. So for instance, this is a line excerpt. This is a line excerpt from report, and this is the categorization based on what? This is a categorization based on MITRE attack, MITRE ATT and CK. Okay, and it depends upon the knowledge of depends on knowledge of analyst as well, correct? And mostly coming up from that because it's a manual stuff, correct? We do it manually. So what I got to know is like I go through each and every line of the report and try to figure out the tactic, okay, like that. So that is the key construct which I want to emphasize here is like it's a manual step. For instance, I find this obfuscate executable code, then I figure it out, it's a defense evasion. Similarly, review the directory. So let me check defense evasion where it is coming. So defense evasion, this is the tactic. So that's how tactics come into picture. Similarly, review the directory or discovery is the one. And then potential automated sandbox defines evasion and encrypting file on a victim device's impact. So that's how I was able to find the tactic. Similarly, then the next thing is I need to identify the technique with more analysis. So this is a very manual approach. Okay? And then we need to report step to find the other techniques. Then we need to repeat. Sorry, actually not report. It's like repeat. So first step is to find the tactic, then repeat the step to find the sub procedure. Correct. Find technique or a sub procedure, right? Because it does have the other things in picture. So more data we have, more emphasize our understanding on the of the system of what it is going through currently, right? So that is one thing. But there are certain issues which are there, and hence we have a tram tool. So that is the reason why we need a tram tool, correct? So issues, it's a very manual process. I am going through each and every line, and based on my knowledge I am trying to figure it out. But for other analysts, he might be having some other approach, and there are chances that we don't follow a same technique or tactic for a same uh, statement from a report, correct? So that is there is chances of collisions. There are chances of collision as well, possible collisions. So it's a very manual process and requires map tactic techniques. It's a complete manual approach, and it consumes more time, correct? We can't afford time when we are in cybersecurity, correct? We have time limited factors because we don't know whether the attack is an advanced persistent type attack. Okay, so that remains in our system being undetected. So we don't have much time. We cannot trade on time. Potentially more chance of human error is there in this when it is a manual process, correct? And collision is there because based on analyst knowledge base, and that varies from one analyst to another. So how tram works is, first of all let me discuss how tram is enabled. Sorry. So tram makes it easier to get started with attack. So basically, even if we don't have much awareness on attack, this tool is helpful for us. So what we need to do is like we need to have a report, we upload it, and then it gets categorized based on the NLP and machine learning algorithms that runs behind the hood. So that is the part of under the hood part which we'll cover. But that's an easy way to. So why we should be going sticking ourselves to the attack framework, correct? So to make it easier for us to be more in adherence with attack framework, we should be using this tram tool. Second, it's not feasible to remember 266 plus techniques, and it's ever growing, right? It's not only 266, but is ever growing, right? It's ever growing, and that's why it's a live framework, MITRE is a live framework. So we can't remember all those one, and even if we remember, we cannot keep ourselves updated with the new techniques which are ever evolving and getting added to the framework, correct? So that this tool is in sync with MITRE. Okay, so hence it is easier for this tool to map it effectively. And the using reporting, which is important, so we create reports out of it. We use report and we generate report, and that report can also be feed to attack navigator to check where we are standing as per the attack. Okay, and what is the thing which we should be focusing on. Okay, what is the errors in, what are the threats in hand, and what are the threats that may come up future in lieu of the one which are available right now. So that is where it keeps us enabling, and then it removes our manual approach. Okay, it uses machine learning, which is trainable, right? If I'm not looking for, if the threat map technique mapping is not correct and I think it's not in sync with my research, so then I can go and research and then find the accurate technique, give it a score, but it will be always 100 if I'm rejecting the one which is given from this tool. And then I can edit, and next time when the search, when that kind of figures coming in the report, and that it will be mapped to the one which I created, the technique which I mapped in. So that's, it's a learning, this is a model that learns, keeps on learning, correct? So that is one thing. Now tram under the hood. Now first we get the data from Stix and Taxi, correct? These are our tip platforms, these are our tip platforms, correct? And then we clean up the data. So this tool internally cleans the data, then it trains the model, which is like machine learning modeling, and then it collects reports, it tests data. So testing, collect report means the upload part. So one, mostly we are at this level, so we do the report uploading in this place. Okay. Then we do the testing of data, which is through machine learning models. Then we accept or review model decisions. Accept or review model decisions and feedback loop. Okay, so basically accept or review model decisions means it gives us a score. It provides us with a score and a technique. Okay, and this comes up based on the verbs which are found in the report, right? And it's like either 100% or 100%, or maybe from 0 to 100% in range of that. Okay, and it gives us the data for that particular verb in the report after analyzing. That analysis is based on machine learning models and all those things. So basically what is the stuff is like, we upload the report, we go through the mod, this tool goes to scans every line and verb. Based on it, it will do the mapping, and that mapping we have, as an analyst, have the option to reject or accept. If I accept it, that's good, it will generate a report. If I reject it, and then suppose that we will be giving a technique to it, so that the model will learn and adapt to it for the next iteration, which we would be running for the report. So I hope this gives you a good overview of a tram, why, and the most important thing, why exactly we need tram and where it helps and how does it help in very fast changing cyber threat landscape, correct? So stay tuned, we'll be understanding other stuff in the upcoming sessions. Thank you, take care.